Alright, today on Dadcraft we're going to take a quick tour of a block museum that I had set up in my original world, and this was all done in survival mode. So this is a lot of time spent in the game collecting the different things that you need in order to make these blocks and then describe them. The toughest block, I think, that takes the longest to get of anything in the whole game is the Netherite Block. Now, you have to go down deep into the nether. You then have to mine in the nether, and I used bed mining, where you place a bed, try and click on it, it explodes, blows up a bunch of the netherrack, and leaves you the ancient debris block, which you see on the left. And then you get 4 of those ancient debris blocks, put them in a furnace, and combine it with 4 ingots, 4 netherite ingots, 4 ingots of gold to make 1 netherite ingot, and then you need 9 netherite ingots to make a netherite block. So absolutely, that took days and days to do. And so probably the hardest block to get in the whole game, or at least the one that takes the most time to get. There's gilded blackstone here, which you can find only in the nether in certain fortresses that are around. And so then around here we have the different crafting tables and different items that came into the game. We have the lodestone, the crying obsidian, and the respawn anchor, which you can set, like I want to respawn here, you can clack on it and have that work. Out in the open space here is a collection of all the plants, the different types of trees. We have the different vines and the chorus fruit from the end, all growing out here in their different spots, plus the different types of soil. Of all things, you can have a grass block, a grass path, dirt, coarse dirt, and podzol. Those are different kinds of dirt levels you can find out there. In the last video on the terracotta, you saw all the different kinds of terracotta, all the different colors, and then you see the colors of wool, beds, carpets, concrete powder, and concrete itself. You can have them in all these different flavors, if you like. Kind of a fun rainbow of colors, if you like. Then there are a bunch of different handy things that you can have in a game, from furnaces to blast furnaces, note blocks, something to play music discs. We have scaffolding. Then we have a composter, a barrel, a chest, ender chest, the shulker chest, and the cauldron. These are all things that can hold stuff in the game. Kind of a cool setup there. And then inside the Block Museum area are a couple of interesting things. A number of different items from what you would have in Redstone, whether it's a dropper dispenser, the observer, which we talked about in the simple machines, the bell, when we saw that, can show you where your pillager mobs are attacking. And then a redstone lamp, a daylight sensor, piston, and sticky piston, which we use a sticky piston on that simple machine, so you've seen that before. Alright, and then we'll kind of continue the tour here in part 2. Then over here on the left we have items that you'll find in the nether, netherrack, soul sand, soil, glowstone, the magma block. We have some of the nether additions, whether it's the basalt, blackstone. Then you get polished and other versions of them. You then also have the, interestingly enough, with the kind of the skeleton face on it from the nether skeletons, we have the chiseled nether bricks and the other nether bricks and blocks you can make from them. There's red nether versions, which are combining a nether brick along with some nether wart. You kind of get this lighter red version. The darker purpley brown version, you can't see the stuff very well, but you can see it really well on the red. And then we have a few different blocks here from nether quartz. And so there's the nether quartz ore, then the nether quartz block, and then a couple of versions of it. And interestingly enough, there's also the nether quartz pillar and chiseled nether quartz. So that has a cool design on it. So those are all the unique blocks you can find in the nether itself. And here we have all the different versions of sandstone. And so we have, you can barely even see it, but it's a glass pane. And this looks like a rod until you connect it on one side or the other, and then it will fill in the space as a glass pane. So it's thinner than what you would have in a glass block. And then we have, of course, sand and the sandstone variants and chiseled sandstone. It's kind of fun. Chiseled sandstone has a creeper face on it, which is, well, not all that creepy, but there it is. And then we'll go on over here and check out a couple more items. Okay, as we had in the redstone area, there are also 2 lanterns and then 2 different kinds of torches, the soul torch and the regular torch. Alright, next we'll go into the ores. Here in the ore section are some interesting blocks. A few versions ago, the block of emerald ended up changing to have this, I don't know, cut face look to it. So this is kind of interesting. We have the original mined ore versions of them that you can get with a silk touch pickaxe, so lapis lazuli, emerald, everybody's favorite diamond. We have 2 versions of gold ore, one from the overworld and one from the nether, iron ore, coal ore, and redstone ore, and then blocks of each one of these. Pretty cool. We also have then some of the blocks from the end. And here we have the original end stone and some of the variants of the end stone block, and then the purple blocks that we have that you can craft from chorus fruit eventually, but you can get them also from the end cities. And then from the ocean monuments, we get sponges. There's really 2 variants of these. There's the wet sponge, and you see it's dripping water, and then a dried out sponge, which can soak up water from an area, and a sea lantern. I don't have a good view here of the conduit. It kind of floats above. We've seen that in the other world. And then down here we have the different versions of coral that you would have out in the world. There's brain coral, which is pink, bubble coral, which is purple, fire coral, which is red, tube coral, which is blue, and horn coral, which is yellow. And they have their little variants, and then the sea pickles, which light it up. As well, when you take them out of the water, they end up dying, and they look like those blocks. Alright, next we'll go into some of the area where we get the blocks from the overworld and from the ocean monuments from the construction of them. Alright, and here we're going to go outside, out from under the cover of the Block Museum. You can see here are the different kinds of prismarine that you'll find in the ocean monument. And then there's prismarine bricks as well, and then dark prismarine. And over on this side is kind of the typical overworld blocks that you'll get. There's andesite, diorite, and granite. And then there's the polished versions of them. What's kind of silly, and I don't know why they did it, but you can see that there is a granite wall, there's a diorite wall, and an andesite wall, but there's no polished versions of them. That's these open spaces that should be here. They didn't include a polished version of those walls. I don't know why. It's kind of dumb it's been left out. Then we have stone, where you can have slab and stairs. And we have smooth stone, there's a couple of those. Then there's one of my favorites, something I use for building all over the place, stone bricks in the different variants. There's a chiseled stone brick as well as cracked stone bricks. You can find these in strongholds. And then to give it a bit of a different flair, there's also the mossy version. There's the regular cobblestone and mossy cobblestone, and so those are all the different blocks that you just find generally in the overworld. And then here we have 3 things that we've seen in my new world: the dragon head, the end crystal, and again, if you touch this explodes, and then the actual dragon egg itself. And so those are from the initial end island and are very special. I actually had made and placed the end crystal in the area over here that's covered. I accidentally touched it and blew up a good section of the Block Museum. So I felt really stupid about doing that. So I put them outside in that area. So there it is. All these different blocks you can get in the game. There's a bunch of tough ones you can get. And they're kind of fun. There's also here some different redstone devices. And you can see them there, the comparator, the repeater, and the torch. We've seen a little bit about those in the initial redstone video. Then there's the different kinds of rails, powered rail, actuator, detector rails. And we have some fun other blocks, whether it's slime, bone, clay. There's clay bricks that you can make, as well as you have gravel. There's a couple of banners here, one from the end and one from raids that come against you. And then a bunch of natural blocks. You can get some things from beehives, honeycomb blocks, honey, and then some of the other blocks that we've already seen, like the carved pumpkin head. So there they are, blocks in the Block Museum. Kind of cool. It's a thing you can do, but I gotta tell you, gathering all this stuff and making it all happen takes absolutely, just unbelievable amount of time to gather all this in survival mode. I'd say this on the order of months, and so something you can hear to do. All right, terracotta. That's what we originally started with, but the Block Museum, kind of a cool idea. There's a kind of a tour of the blocks in Minecraft really quick. Have fun playing Minecraft.